When we talk about power and control, one name that often comes to mind is Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli was an Italian philosopher and political thinker from the Renaissance period. He is famous for his book, The Prince, where he talks about how rulers can gain and maintain power. But beyond just politics, Machiavelli's ideas also help us understand something deeper: the psychology of control. How people seek control over others and sometimes over themselves. How control influences human behavior and relationships. Today we will explore Machiavelli's insights into control and see how his ideas still apply in our lives today. Machiavelli lived in a time of great political chaos. Italy was divided into many small states, each ruled by different princes, dukes, or families. Wars, betrayals, and power struggles were common. In this environment, Machiavelli observed the realities of power very closely. He wasn't interested in ideals or what should happen. Instead, he focused on what really happens in politics, the practical, often harsh reality of power. This is why many call him the founder of political realism. One of Machiavelli's main ideas is that people want to be in control because control gives them security. When you control a situation or others, you reduce uncertainty. You feel safer because you know what is likely to happen. This desire for control is very natural. Humans often feel anxious or afraid when they lose control. When they don't know what will happen next, their minds fill with worries and doubts. Machiavelli understood this well. He wrote that rulers must learn how to control not only their enemies, but also their own subjects. The way to keep power is to make people feel secure under your control. But how do you achieve this control? Machiavelli famously said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This means that fear is a stronger tool for control than love or friendship. When people fear you, they obey because they want to avoid punishment. Fear creates a kind of order because it forces people to act carefully. Love, on the other hand, is less reliable. People's feelings of love can change quickly. They might stop caring if they believe you are weak or if someone else offers something better. Fear is more constant and more powerful in maintaining control. However, Machiavelli warns rulers not to be hated. Hate leads to rebellion. So the key is to balance fear without crossing the line into hatred. This delicate balance requires understanding people's psychology deeply. You must know what makes people afraid and what makes them angry. You must give them enough security so they do not feel desperate, but not so much freedom that they challenge your power. Control is not only about fear and punishment. Machiavelli also emphasizes the use of respect and reputation. A ruler with a strong reputation is harder to challenge because others believe in their strength. Reputation can create control through admiration or intimidation. People follow leaders they respect or fear. This shows that control works through both emotions and beliefs. People's minds are influenced by what they feel and what they think about a person or situation. Machiavelli also highlights that control is never permanent. Power is always fragile and can be lost quickly. That is why rulers must be wise, adaptable, and sometimes ruthless. They must be ready to change their tactics according to the situation. This means control requires constant effort and attention. If a ruler becomes careless or lazy, control can slip away. Another important aspect Machiavelli discusses is the role of appearances in control. Often, how a ruler looks or behaves can be more important than their true intentions. People judge leaders by what they see, not always by what they know. Therefore, projecting strength, confidence, and decisiveness is a key part of control. Even if a leader feels uncertain inside, showing confidence can prevent others from challenging their authority. This idea applies not only to rulers but to all of us. In everyday life, people often seek to control their image or how others perceive them. We want to appear strong or capable to gain respect and influence. This psychological need to manage impressions is a form of control. Machiavelli's insight helps us understand that control is often about managing perceptions, as much as managing reality. Machiavelli also teaches us that sometimes control requires deception. He argues that leaders must be prepared to lie or cheat if it serves their goal of maintaining power. While this may sound harsh or unethical, Machiavelli sees it as practical. In his view, people are not always honest or loyal, so a leader who trusts only kindness and honesty may lose control. This idea reveals a realistic and sometimes dark side of human nature. That control often involves strategic thinking and sometimes manipulation. At the same time, Machiavelli encourages rulers to appear virtuous even if they are not. Virtue such as honesty, generosity, and courage attracts followers. So leaders should use the appearance of virtue as a tool for control. This again highlights the importance of image and perception in controlling others. To sum up this first part, Machiavelli's psychology of control teaches us that control is deeply tied to human emotions like fear and respect, to reputation and perception, and to the constant need for adaptability. Control is not about idealism or fairness, but about understanding human nature realistically. Control requires balancing fear and kindness, truth and deception, appearance and reality. In the next part, we will explore how Machiavelli's ideas about control apply not only to rulers but also to everyday relationships and personal growth. We will see how understanding the psychology of control can help us navigate power dynamics in families, workplaces, and even within ourselves. We will also reflect on the ethical challenges that come with seeking control. In the first part, we explored how Machiavelli understood control as a psychological tool connected to fear, respect, reputation, and appearances. Now let's go deeper and see how these ideas of control go beyond rulers and politics. Control is not just for kings or princes, it is something we all experience in our personal relationships, in the workplace, and within ourselves. Understanding the psychology of control can help us manage our interactions and even grow as individuals. First, let's consider control in everyday relationships. Whether with family, friends, or co-workers, power dynamics exist everywhere. Sometimes people try to control others by creating fear or insecurity. For example, a parent may use strict rules and punishments to control their children. A boss might use threats to get employees to work harder. These actions resemble what Machiavelli describes about rulers using fear to maintain order. Fear can work to create control, but it often comes with a cost. People may obey, but they may also feel unhappy or resentful. Machiavelli's advice to balance fear without hatred is very important here. In healthy relationships, control based on mutual respect is stronger and more lasting. When people feel respected and valued, they are more willing to cooperate and follow guidance. This balance of respect and authority creates a kind of control that feels safe and fair. It shows that control does not have to be harsh or cruel. Instead, it can be based on understanding human needs for security and dignity. Another key point from Machiavelli is the role of appearances in control, which applies strongly in personal and social life. People often manage how others see them to maintain influence. This can be as simple as dressing well for an interview or as complex as carefully choosing words in a conversation to appear confident. We learn early that how others see us affects how much control or influence we have. Machiavelli's insight reminds us to be mindful of our image and communication because control often depends on perception. Now let's move to control in the workplace. Many of Machiavelli's lessons are clear here. Leaders and managers must understand how to balance fear and respect. Using only fear or strict rules may lead to short-term obedience but can destroy trust and morale in the long run. Employees who feel respected and valued tend to be more motivated and loyal. So the best leaders use control through inspiring respect rather than just enforcing rules. This reflects Machiavelli's idea that reputation and honor are powerful tools for control. Yet control in the workplace is not only about leaders controlling others. Sometimes employees try to control situations to protect their interests or gain advantage. This might include managing information, forming alliances, or negotiating carefully. Machiavelli's ideas about strategy and deception can help us understand why people behave this way. Control involves constant negotiation and adaptation. It is not a fixed state but a dynamic process. Machiavelli also encourages us to think about self-control. Controlling others is one thing, but controlling ourselves is often even harder. Self-control is the ability to manage our desires, emotions, and impulses. It is important for personal growth and for maintaining control in our lives. Machiavelli suggests that leaders must control their own emotions and actions to stay strong. Losing control of oneself can lead to mistakes, weakness, and losing power. In modern terms, we might call this emotional intelligence or self-discipline. Developing self-control helps us make better decisions and maintain calm in difficult situations. It also helps us resist temptations that might harm us in the long run. Machiavelli teaches us that true power comes not only from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves first. This idea leads us to an important ethical reflection. Machiavelli's psychology of control is very practical and realistic, but it raises questions about right and wrong. Is it acceptable to use fear, deception, or manipulation to maintain control? Machiavelli does not provide easy answers. He shows us the realities of power, but leaves the choice to us. We must decide how to use the knowledge of control responsibly. Many modern thinkers argue that control should be based on fairness, trust, and respect for others' freedom. They warn against abusing power and remind us of the importance of ethics. However, Machiavelli's insights remain valuable because they reveal the human tendencies behind power struggles. By understanding these tendencies, we can better protect ourselves from manipulation and build healthier relationships. To summarize this second part, Machiavelli's psychology of control is not just for rulers, but for everyone. Control appears in families, workplaces, and personal growth. It involves balancing fear and respect, managing appearances, understanding strategy, and developing self-control. While control can be used in negative ways, it also offers tools for creating stability and cooperation. The challenge is to use these tools wisely and ethically. In the final part, we will explore how Machiavelli's ideas about control connect with modern psychology and leadership. We will also discuss practical lessons we can take from Machiavelli to improve our own lives. By learning the psychology of control, we can become more aware of power dynamics and use that awareness to lead better, relate better, and grow stronger. As we reach the final part of our exploration of Machiavelli's psychology of control, let's focus on how his ideas connect with modern psychology and leadership today. We will also look at practical lessons we can learn from Machiavelli to improve our own lives. Understanding the psychology of control gives us the power to navigate the complex world of relationships, leadership, and self-growth with greater awareness and skill. First, it is important to recognize that Machiavelli's insights are surprisingly relevant to modern psychology. Today, psychologists study how people seek control in their lives because control is deeply connected to mental well-being. When people feel in control, they tend to be calmer, more confident, and less anxious. When control is lost or threatened, stress and fear increase. This aligns closely with Machiavelli's observations about the human need for security through control. In leadership psychology, many concepts echo Machiavelli's teachings. For example, the idea of emotional intelligence, the ability to understand and manage one's emotions and those of others, is key to effective leadership. Machiavelli emphasized that leaders must control themselves first and understand others' fears and desires. This emotional awareness helps leaders balance fear and respect, making their control more effective and lasting. Another modern concept is the importance of reputation and perception in leadership. Today, we understand that a leader's image influences how others respond to them. This is exactly what Machiavelli emphasized. Appearances often matter more than reality. Leaders who manage their image well build trust and authority. They create a psychological environment where people feel secure following them. Machiavelli's idea that control requires constant adaptation also fits well with modern leadership theories. The world changes quickly, and leaders must be flexible and ready to change their strategies. Control is not about rigid rules, but about understanding people and situations, then adjusting accordingly. This dynamic approach keeps control strong over time. Now let's discuss some practical lessons from Machiavelli for our everyday lives. First, self-awareness is essential. Machiavelli shows us that knowing our own strengths, weaknesses, fears, and desires is the foundation for any kind of control, whether over ourselves or others. When we understand our emotions and motivations, we can make better choices and avoid being controlled by others. Second, managing our image and communication is a valuable skill. This does not mean being fake or dishonest. Instead, it means presenting ourselves clearly and confidently. How we speak, act, and dress influences how others perceive us. This perception shapes our ability to influence and lead. Machiavelli reminds us to be mindful of this power of appearance. Third, balance in kindness and firmness is a key to healthy control. Whether we are parents, friends, bosses, or partners, combining respect with clear boundaries creates trust and cooperation. Pure fear or pure kindness alone rarely leads to lasting control. Machiavelli's wisdom is to find the right balance to maintain stability and respect. Fourth, self-control is the foundation of true power. We must learn to manage our impulses and emotions before we try to control others. This means practicing patience, discipline, and reflection. Self-control helps us stay calm in difficult situations and make decisions that serve our long-term goals. Lastly, ethical reflection is crucial. Machiavelli's realism can seem harsh, but it challenges us to think carefully about how we use power. Control comes with responsibility. Using control wisely means respecting others' dignity and freedom whenever possible. Machiavelli's lessons invite us to be honest with ourselves about power, but also to choose kindness and fairness where we can. In conclusion, Machiavelli's psychology of control offers us deep insights into human nature and power. It teaches that control is a balance of fear and respect, appearances and reality, self-mastery and understanding others. Control is not fixed. It requires constant attention, adaptation, and ethical awareness. By applying these lessons in our own lives, we can improve our relationships, become better leaders, and grow personally. We become aware of the power dynamics around us and learn to navigate them with wisdom and care. Control, as Machiavelli shows, is not just about power. It is about understanding human nature and using that understanding to create stability, security, and growth. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Machiavelli's psychology of control. I hope these ideas inspire you to think deeply about power and control in your life. Remember, true control begins with self-awareness and respect for others. With this foundation, you can face the world with strength and wisdom.